Welcome back to the Veritas podcast. This is episode number 5. I'm producer Scott Fowler, and I'm here with Dr. Lachin Hatemi, and today we're going to talk about drug addiction. Do you know someone who's really struggling with alcohol or drug addiction? Well, Dr. Hatemi has a solution for you and your family today. Tell us about it.
So it's drug addiction, not just opioids, also alcoholism. So it's a pandemic, it's affecting us, it's killing people right and left, it's destroying families, destroying our society in general. And this is a disease, a silent epidemic we need to address. And we have different drugs to treat them, but I'm going to talk about one particular drug that I'm holding in my hand. So I think this is a topic nobody wants to talk about, but it's a very, very important topic.
Yeah, so what's the name of the drug?
So this is a drug that is called Vivitrol. It's an injection. We inject it once a month. It is a suspension. We keep it in the fridge. We take it out 1 hour before you arrive, and then we mix it up in front of you and inject it. And you don't have to come back for another month. So once a month. And it is Narcan, which is a lot of people familiar with. But this formulation is a slow-release Narcan. So it's the 380 milligrams of Narcan at once. It releases slowly over 1 month period, so you don't have to worry about cravings and opioid or alcohol overdose.
Wow, that's a really low frequency, just once a month.
Once a month, it's very easy. This is a little bit different than the alternatives out there. So a lot of you have been heard about methadone or Suboxone or Subutex. Those are partial agonists. They are still opioids. They are still give you a buzz. They are still have potential to abuse. I mean, there are people who will pay money to buy your methadone or Suboxone, so there is a problem with diversion. This, nobody is paying a dime for it. It's completely useless. When I give you this, it kills your buzz. There is no street value to it. It's not a lesser evil. Actually, this is no evil. It's technically Narcan, so nobody wants Narcan. So in that sense, this is a great drug. And this is well loved by the judges, the judicial system. They love this medication and rehab centers love it too, because rehab centers want you completely clean, not on anything. And this is not an opioid or it's not a controlled substance. So they love this medication. This is one of the only medication actually they approve in a lot of places because it's not controlled.
So tell us about some of the success stories you've seen, because I can only imagine what it's like to struggle with having to drink alcohol every day to feel normal, or all these drug addiction issues. What have you seen it happen? So
this blocks the opioid receptors, and when you drink alcohol, it prevents you from getting a buzz, or you go use narcotics like heroin or opioids, Percocet, hydrocodone, anything like that. When you take them, you don't get a buzz out of it. So you technically wasted your money on those drugs if you decide to take it while you're on this medication. In that sense, it's kind of takes the control away from you and give it to the medication. And this is a great medication. People, their family members usually bring them or accompany them to the appointment to make sure they come. This is not a medication people will line up in front of your clinic 8 in the morning like you will see in a methadone clinic. This drug is not something they want, but they will benefit from. So if they don't want it, that's a good news, because there's no abuse potential for Vivitrol. It is once a month, so compliance is very easy. And the longer you stay on it, the more effective it is. There is no magic number. There is no recommendations out there. People stay on it 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, depend on the person, but 1 month at a time. So if somebody comes to me and they qualify for this medication, I will not wait a minute. I will convince them to get it injected so they have it in the system. It will buy me time, 1 month, to get the medication under their name, so it gets shipped to my clinic, and so I can administer the next dose. Only there's a requirement. You need to be clean for about 10 to 14 days prior to taking this medication.
Oh, wow. So no alcohol either.
No alcohol. So it's perfect for people who coming out of a rehab.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Or prison, actually, because you're supposed to be drug-free. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but you're coming out of a prison or a rehab, you're drug-free. This is a perfect And actually, I recommend these to be given in prison or rehab centers before they even get out, so we can give the next dose outside. So in that sense, Vivitrol is a very good drug.
What's the cost?
Well, cost is very expensive, but in South Carolina, almost all insurances cover it 100%. So if you have insurance, cost shouldn't be a problem. If you don't have insurance, we can get your application and we can get the drug for free if you qualify on income basis. There is a very solid program that can get this drug free if you meet certain income requirements. So not having insurance shouldn't be a deterrent. We can get this drug to you if you're willing to work with us.
Have you seen someone here in Lexington that was seriously facing addiction that was helped by this?
Absolutely. I mean, I have seen people with opioid and alcohol dependence. It's great drug for that. And also for you, it's almost an insurance policy. It significantly reduces overdose. So if your loved ones get tempted, get a wrong batch of medication, long batch of drugs, and it's laced with fentanyl or something very potent and that can kill you almost instantaneously, this drug will reduce that rate. I mean, it doesn't eliminate 100%, but 98% is pretty good. So this is an insurance policy that your loved one will not be found overdosed and dead. This will save lives.
Yeah, I have a close friend of mine whose family member passed away from a fentanyl overdose, and I don't even really like the word fentanyl overdose, because often when an overdose, it implies that someone was trying to take too many drugs to commit suicide. But with these cases, more times than not, they're not trying to hurt themselves. They're just trying to get high.
They try to get high, absolutely.
And I don't feel like that is an overdose. So I think it's like a fentanyl murder. It's killing people. They're not necessarily killing themselves. They're not attempting to harm. It's just wild how crazy the fentanyl pandemic has really hit us.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about fentanyl. So I want to give some information on that so people understand why fentanyl is such an important topic. I mean, we talk about heroin and cocaine and methamphetamine and meth and all these drugs people buy from the street. But fentanyl is much, much, much dangerous than all those drugs. Because, drugs we deal with milligrams, we do. In the case of fentanyl, it's so potent that we deal with micrograms. So even a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of fentanyl can cause significant sedation and all overdose risk. So micrograms is like such a low dose. And drug dealers, cartels are adding fentanyl in small doses or large doses to the existing drug supply of heroin and cocaine and methamphetamine to spike it. And they are not professional labs, and they're putting way too much produce intentionally or unintentionally, and that's why we risk overdose. You don't know, even a weed you buy from the streets might be laced with fentanyl, and it can kill you.
Yeah, is it true that amount the size of a pinhead could kill you?
Pinhead, I mean, we are talking about very tiny, tiny variations. You can go from a normal dose of fentanyl to a lethal dose of fentanyl, so that's very dangerous. And fentanyl is very interesting. There's much bigger picture in fentanyl. Most of the fentanyl is entering the United States through our southern border, Mexican border, like any other drugs. But most of the fentanyl is produced in China, almost all of it. So Chinese are bringing it to Mexico, and it's mixed or not mixed, coming to the United States. So
I think in the beginning it was mixed a lot, but now there's straight truckloads of fentanyl.
I mean, we have drug busts by DEA, and they are catching such a large quantities of fentanyl that can kill the entire U.S. population in one bust. So we are dealing with very, very dangerous situation right now.
And if you think about it, every time you get one truckload busted, how many truckloads are coming through? 10
Absolutely,
more,
about
20
10 more, yeah.
It's just unimaginable how many drugs are really coming across our border every day.
I mean, I'm going to throw an interesting topic. A lot of people do not know about. When President Trump was in office, there was a big deal with China and the trade deal with China and trade agreement with China. And everybody focused on import and exports of other stuff, but there were a lot of clauses in that agreement about fentanyl. The US government wanted China to punish anybody dealing in fentanyl, almost death penalty. So that was a huge part of the deal, and a lot of people overlooked that actually Trump administration was trying to prevent China from bringing fentanyl in this country. I don't want this to be a political topic. I'm not support the administration, but that was one of the topics they discussed. So China is the problem, and Mexican border is where it's coming from. So that's why Vivitrol is becoming more and more vital to our community. This will protect our communities. Of course, education and taking our loved ones to educational activities and prevent them from drug use is important. But this is also very important. This is our almost only protection now for fentanyl. So I really want to promote this medication because it's going to prevent and reduce overdoses like no other drug will.
How long has this medication been around?
It had been around for a long time.
Really?
Yes. You might not heard about it. It's almost coming out of licensing soon too. So it's going to be generic and get much cheaper. The problem with this drug do not do very well because there is no money-making opportunity here. I mean, this drug, nobody wants this one. I mean, people usually have external motivation to come to clinic to get this drug because you are telling somebody who's used to get high on drugs that you will not get high even if you take the drugs. And nobody wants that proposition unless it's forced by the judge or persecution or it's kind of a plea bargain or the family is on that person like you have to take this drug. So it's not a drug like, as I told you, 8 in the morning I open the clinic, there's a line in front of it, people like craving, waiting in the parking lot. I cannot wait to get my Vivitrol shot on the 1st of the month. This is the drug people do not want to take. And that's the reason this drug is important because this is good for the people. And I support this 100%. And the way this drug works, it's just magnificent. It's just mind-blowing.
I think that sounds like something our community really needs.
We need the support of the families of the drug addicts and alcoholics because we cannot marginalize these individuals. We need to support them. We need to get them back to the society. These are our brothers. These are our sisters, our fathers, our mothers, our loved ones, our uncles and our grandfathers. These are people from this community. These are our family members. So instead of ostracizing them, instead of marginalizing them, let them get back in the community so they can come join us in the Thanksgiving dinner instead of visiting them in the cemetery. So I really need the support of the families to bring people to the table to do this Vivitrol. It can make a huge difference for the community and it can prevent the problem. So we need the support of the community, not just the patients, but their loved ones to help participate, getting this drug on board for our patients.
Who do you know in your friends, family, extended family circle who's struggling with addiction, really struggling with alcohol or drug addiction? If so, please talk to Dr. Hatemi. This is a serious issue that can be solved with a once-a-month injection. And I've heard from someone directly who's taken this drug that they immediately feel better. It's an instant response, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, this is effective almost immediately in your system. So the insurance policy against overdose starts after the shot immediately. The only requirement is you should be off drugs for 10 to 14 days prior. We will drug test you. You should be clean for most of the things, opioids and other stuff. But this drug can make magic, and we need the support of the community. So please share this video. And if you have any questions, reach out to me in person in the clinic. You can walk in to get more information, and you can also ask me questions under the comment section of this video.
Make sure to check out Veritas Urgent Care on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can also listen to this podcast on all those platforms, along with iTunes and Spotify. And if you're looking for more information, you can walk in to Veritas Urgent Care. Once you sign in, you can then talk to Dr. Hatemi.
Absolutely, and we would love to provide. And there's no other urgent care. You can walk in and get this service. There's no other urgent cares offering it. there's not that many providers in the area giving this drug neither. I might be one of the few in the Midlands. I don't know of any other urgent care or any other clinic giving this. Maybe there's one out there, but we are one of the biggest users of this medication. So and we are open 7 days a week. So there's no excuse. I mean, you don't need an appointment. You just let us know, and we will get you on board. There's no waiting list. We are not going to make you wait like weeks to get treated. I mean, you come in, you give me a text, you call me, you come in, I will get you on board that day. And minutes, hours matter in addiction. You know, that person who doesn't come one day can overdose the same night. So we can get on board and then protect your loved ones and get them back in the community.
Thank you, Dr. Hatemi.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you guys. Take care.